get.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. It's Friday morning here in New York City. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer, Chris Carter. This is Nick Wright. What are you showing?
We had to do it, Jenna. We predicted the Raptors in 7. On the show, we mentioned 6.
Yep.
We had to bring a little pop with the dinosaurs with Jenna's jacket.
Oh.
She's representing Toronto and the whole country of Canada.
Good stuff.
Props to my partners, Chris Carter, Jenna Wolf.
I never get the
Chris was going to go.
Chris
really wanted to go Raptors in 7. In fact, that's why it said on the screen Raptors in 7. Jenna Wolf was adamant. I think they get it done in 6. I think they close out Oracle with a big L for the Warriors.
Guys, I had this outfit picked out months ago. I knew it would be the Raptors.
Okay.
I knew it would be in 6.
Meanwhile, I said 6 weeks ago the Warriors were going to lose in the finals. Now, I said it was to the Bucks, and they didn't get there. But I feel like I get partial credit.
Right,
Well,
that's why you wore green for the Bucks.
Exactly.
Now that we've all patted ourselves on the back for appropriate reasons, let us start because we do have a big show today. Only one place to start, and it is with the NBA Finals. Raptors at Warriors Game 6. Let's pick this one up in the 3rd when Klay Thompson takes an awkward fall. It did not look good. He was in a lot of pain, had to leave the game with what we learned was a torn ACL, and he was playing great up to that point. 30 points, 32 minutes. Fast forward to the 4th. Warriors still in this, down just 1. Steph Curry, a shot to take the lead here. He can't get it to go. Warriors try but cannot gather the rebound. Fans can't believe it. Kerr and Steph can't believe it. Oh, Raptors, they believe it. They go on to win Game 6, 114-110. The Toronto Raptors are your NBA champions. First title in franchise history. Kawhi Leonard winning his 2nd Finals MVP. Oh, Canada, indeed. Much more now from Kawhi after the win.
Came in with the right mindset. Let's go out and win ball games. I text Kyle probably a day later or the day that I got traded and told him, let's go out and do something special. I know your best friend left. I know you're mad, but, let's make this thing work out. And we're here today.
I think a lot has been, proven about who we are as a team and the fight that we have and all the adversity that we dealt with, and, this entire playoff run, and, it's a one-possession game to keep our season alive tonight. So we'll be thinking about this one. It's tough, but our DNA and who we are and the character that we have on this team, I wouldn't bet against us, being back on the stage, next year and going forward.
All right, there's a lot to get to here. This was a great game. If it was going to be the last game, it's a good thing it was such a good game. How did they do it, Nick? How did the Raptors dethrone the Warriors?
All right, so for this game specifically, it was a perfect Raptor game in this regard. Just a contribution from everyone that mattered. Kyle Lowry was spectacular in the first quarter. Serge Ibaka took care of the 2nd. Kawhi Leonard took care of the 3rd. Fred VanVleet was the hero of the 4th, and who's the name we haven't mentioned? Pascal Siakam with the biggest bucket in Raptors history, up 1 to push it to a 3-point game with about 35 seconds left. That's how they did it. Nick Nurse, after I thought making some major coaching errors, one in particular in Game 5. You saw no hangover. I was worried all week about the hangover for the Raptors. None from him, none from his team. They didn't while the Warriors crowd was outstanding throughout, they didn't let it intimidate them. Kyle Lowry was critical in that regard. And they were able to close out the Warriors in their building in a game where Kawhi Leonard wasn't spectacular. He was good, but not the A+ we'd seen from him throughout the postseason. So that's how they won Game 6. But the way they got to Game 6, the way they got to the finals, the way they got the 2nd-best record in the league was having one of the very best players in the league in Kawhi Leonard and having him be sensational from the opening night of the playoffs up until the final night of the playoffs. That Masai Ujiri's team building, the risky, but now it looks very fortuitous decision to move on from the Coach of the Year, Dwayne Casey, to bring in Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
We've now had, of the last 5 NBA champions, 3 of them have been rookie head coaches, Kerr, Lou, Nurse. All of that led to this moment last night where the Raptors have the greatest moment in Canadian basketball history since a Canadian James Naismith invented the sport.
And the biggest one, to bring Kawhi knowing it could very well just be a year and to make the absolute most of what you could do bringing a guy in for what you think could be just a year.
He did beyond what they even expected. When Kawhi Leonard comes there, And that was a great soundbite, him texting Kyle Lowry after, man, he was really disappointed. They trade his best friend after they had as good as you could have as a franchise without being a champion. LeBron James destroyed those dreams a number of times. And for Kawhi to get them to the NBA Finals, that was a real goal. No one's goal is for them to be world champs. Can they get there, get through the East, and play against the Golden State Warriors, who everyone had predicted that they would three-peat? So not only them getting there, them not being able to be satisfied, but ultimately, how did they have the second best record in the NBA this year? It was a collective effort, and we got to give Nick Nurse credit because the adjustments that he made in all 4 series that he was in, they got more talent than Orlando. But they lost the first game. And he made adjustments series after series. And Fred VanVleet, putting him in the starting lineup for the second half, and you could see how it paid out, not only defensively on Steph, but offensively in Steph. Now they had a go-to besides Kawhi Leonard and allowing him the freedom to either go off the bounce or go to a pick and roll. The #1 play they had in that fourth quarter was VanVleet in a pick and roll against the guards of Golden State. And to me, that was the difference in game number 6. That's how they were able to close out Oracle and the overall shooting behind the arc. The analytics, they're right. This game is better with the three-point shot in Toronto. And we said, there's no way Golden State can make 23s the way they did in game 5. They come out in this game, and the Raptors outshot them behind the three-point mark. To me, that was the decisive advantage.
And just real quick on Fred VanVleet before you jump back in, I wanted him benched. I thought that he was dead man walking after the Philly series, the beginning of the Bucks series. He had been so critical to their success over the last couple of years, but he was averaging 3 points a game on single-digit three-point percentage. And his wife, or he had the baby. He ends up finding himself again, and he all of a sudden gets a Finals MVP vote. He all of a sudden is critical in slowing down Stephen Curry in the biggest quarter in Raptors history. He's out there, the one guy, because the Raptors, it would appear that the Warriors were focusing on Kawhi, making other guys try to beat him, and it was a lot of possessions where there's 7 on the shot clock. They're 34 feet from the basket with nothing going. FVV kept bailing them out, a guy who his coach had to keep putting out there, keep having faith in. I thought that Jeremy Lin might replace him in round number 2, and he had a great moment. That's a cumulative effort.
Look, you can't take anything away from what the Raptors did. They had a fantastic postseason run and a fantastic finals run. But the injuries to Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant were demoralizing, absolutely. How much did that factor in to the Raptors winning or to the Warriors losing?
Well, it factors into our ultimate decision. Why do you pick the Raptors? Because I didn't believe KD was going to be there. Injuries are a part of sport. But when we tell the story in 5 years, when we tell the story in 10 years, how much will the injuries be a part of it? It won't be that much a part of it. It will be a footnote. Championships are championships. When you look at this game of basketball that is dominated in North America, in the United States, and to have the Golden State Warriors, since Michael Jordan's 2 three-peats, this is the best basketball team that I have seen. The best collection of talent that I've seen. And for Toronto Raptors, no matter what, there is no excuses. Man, they got it done. They got it because the Warriors, it was on the board. They were still good enough to beat the Raptors without KD. But they weren't able to beat them if Boogie Cousins wasn't going to be good, if Draymond wasn't going to be good, Iggy was going to have to be spectacular, and we saw what we got from Klay. So, yes, you can't look at this 6-game series and say, oh, man, it would have been different if they weren't been injured. Of course it would have. This is one of the most talented teams that we've ever seen. But did the Raptors take advantage of it? Did they fold under the pressure? People, I told you, that crowd, I mean, did they have something to do with it? When it comes down to it, no. They don't play a role in making shots and getting defensive stops. So, man, great collective effort by Toronto, and it all boils down to one decision. And that decision for their general manager to go out and rent a guy who at that time was, man, hands off. I don't want him, don't want to deal with him. All the narratives that people had created about him, how he forced his way out of San Antonio, all those things, false. He took the chance. Kawhi reached out to his teammates. He was a great teammate there for Toronto. So, man, yes, that is a part of it. Injuries are a part of sports. They couldn't overcome them.
On the injuries front, would this series have gone differently if Kevin Durant were fully healthy, if Klay Thompson doesn't get hurt, if Boogie Thompson didn't get hurt in the first round of the playoffs? Probably. And for the Warriors, when we look at their finals losses, this is one that they can say, man, injuries got us. And much like the Cavs in 2015 can say, man, injuries got us. But I don't think it's fair for the champion, for the winner, to discount what they did because the opponent was injured. Because there's an interesting perspective on it. And I had never thought of it, but one of the biggest Warriors fans I follow on Twitter, who's a great writer, a guy named Ezekiel Kwaku, made this point. In 2016, if in Game 4, Steph Curry had gotten hurt, blown out his knee, and then the Cavs go on to win games 5, 6, 7, we'd say, oh, well, Steph wasn't there. But they ended up winning 5, 6, 7, even though he was there. Point being, maybe if Durant played, Raptors still win. Maybe if Klay never goes down, Raptors still win. We don't know what they would have been able to do against a fully healthy team. So while for the Warriors, it's not an excuse, it's an explanation why they didn't win, for the Raptors, they get full credit for their title.
Toronto Raptors played the Golden State Warriors 8 times this season. They won 6 of those games.
Yep.
They won 4 games in
Oracle.
Yep.
Okay, so they are the right team to be able to close it down. They are the team that should be crowned champion, and it just speaks to the NBA. I tweeted last night, man, they used to have this commercial. We grew up with the NBA, and all these stars just yelling into the camera. The NBA is fantastic. And last night, man, it capped it off. Congratulations to Toronto. They earned it.
Good win for the Toronto Raptors. Much more on this still ahead. Coming up was last night, though, the end of the Warriors dynasty. Next on FS1, you can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel on Sirius XM. We'll be right back.
I think the fat lady's singing. At least she got up and stretched.